So if you could be here around 9, that would be great. Okay?
Well, listen here.
Hello, and welcome to 90 Day Fiance MK. I'm Mr. O, and today, Miss H and I will be discussing Season 8, Episode 10 of 90 Day Fiance. In this episode, Stephanie shows Ryan the back and forths of hula hooping, Tariq and Hazel settle in for some quarantine problems, Jovi enjoys some boiled crawfish that Yara wants nothing to do with, Andrew finally gets back to reality from Mexico, Natalie convinces Mike to go to couples therapy, and Zied has to learn how to deal with strangers flirting with him. As always, we'll end with our Students of the Week, class dances, and life lessons. If you like what you hear, please support us by leaving a 5-star rating and subscribing. And if you also watch Love After Lockup, you should listen to our other podcast, Love After Lockup MK. All right, thanks for listening, stay safe, and enjoy.
Hello, Mr. O.
Hello, Miss H.
How are things?
Things are okay. The weather keeps deciding it needs to snow, and I'm done with that now.
Oh my gosh,
we need to move on.
I'm ready for it to be spring already. It is almost here.
At least it's not like Texas this week. We haven't gotten that, but it just like feels like every time I have something going on during the week, it's like, oh yeah, you might get an ice storm instead.
We become one of those people that always talk about the weather, so let's not be those
Oh my
people.
God, you're right. No.
We always start off with the weather. I feel like it's you.
It's probably me. When you ask what's going on, I come up with the weather. All right. I'll come up with how about we instead talk about some rumors?
Okay, so based on feedback, and we appreciate that, it has been a minute since we have done a rumor roundup. So we'll go ahead and start today's episode off with a rumor roundup.
2-minute rumor roundup.
So, Ellen and Kirlim are currently pregnant with baby boy number 2. She is just about halfway through her pregnancy at about 25 weeks. It's a girl for Danny and Amy, who welcomed their third child, Willow, into the world last month. George of George and Anfisa is going to be a dad. He posted a sonogram to reveal the news with his new girlfriend. Molly's daughter, Olivia, has been arrested following a domestic battery incident where she allegedly hit Molly. Olivia has since posted on social media that her mom is a neglectful liar. David and Annie have claimed to have had a tough year with the loss of family members and both of them contracting and recovering from COVID, so they decided to treat themselves to a vacation in the Dominican. 3 times is hopefully the charm for Ashley as she has filed for divorce from Jay once again. Angela and Michael spent the holidays apart as they are still waiting on visa approval. Angela is still trying to glow up as she received weight loss surgery and lost a noticeable amount of weight and has had dental work done. Jesse is claiming that Darcy's new fiancé, Georgie, is reaching out to him to talk shit on Darcy. Darcy is maintaining that everything is fine. It's a boy for Paul and Karini. Karini just gave birth to a son with on-again, off-again husband Paul by her side in Brazil. They have named the baby Ethan. They must be desperate for money as they have also teased an OnlyFans account where you can follow Karini's cosmetology journey and Paul giving tips on how to wear condoms while swimming in the river. The abuser, who shall not be named, has seemingly confirmed that Dean of Tariq and Dean was fired from Pillow Talk due to a transgender comment he made about Tim from Tim and Jennifer on Pillow Talk. And in other Idiocracy news, Dean is still living in the Philippines with his pregnant girlfriend. Omar and Avery are currently reunited and living together in Abu Dhabi. Lana is claiming on her social media that she is no longer engaged to David and it was only for the show. An American fan of Jihoon set up a GoFundMe seeking $50,000 to pay for Jihoon's lawyer, as Jihoon and Devin are currently in the midst of a child custody battle and divorce proceedings. Yazin appears to have moved on quickly from Britney and has hinted on his social media that he may have gotten married. Britney is still claiming Yazin owes her money, but he's moved on and blocked her.
Oh my God. You kept saying these names, and I was like, wow. I forgot about them, and it was like 4 months ago. Like David and Lana, I completely blocked them from my memory.
Right?
Like, totally.
Yeah, so many babies too, which I don't know if is a good or bad thing. Some of these couples,
babies are babies. Yes. Some of them were healthy couples that are coming with babies. Other ones are like, oh no. All right, so let's jump into this season's groups. I feel like there's some rumors that come up. Actually, let's start with the one that has some rumors associated with it too, and that's Stephanie and Ryan.
Okay.
All right, so we start with Stephanie, and she's giving Ryan some hula hooping tips on the beach. such as, the less you move, the better, which I hope is also not her tip for the bedroom. Ryan eventually gets the hang of it and reminds us that Stephanie is going for the Guinness World Record for hula hooping. Ryan has a good time with it all and says that it's a nice change to have some laughter with her. Afterwards, as they dip their feet in the water, Ryan talks about visiting Michigan and touring the place. He hears the bars and the country music concerts are great. Stephanie starts to ask about Ryan's mom. He says that she is not against the relationship and she's okay with him moving up there if she's going to be able to get him a job. But it's hard for Stephanie to know this for sure because at one point she called her mom with an unserious threat of taking her money back, and then the mom had blocked her phone. But Stephanie doesn't feel totally unjustified in asking for her money back because she feels like her money is not appreciated because she didn't get sincere enough thank you texts.
God.
Ryan feels like Stephanie has helped them out of the goodness of her heart, but he also seems like he's starting to suspect that it's more of a control thing. So after their apparently great day, and all the secrets that have been shared, Stephanie is having a margarita and starts worrying again about Ryan's faithfulness. She reminds us about Maria's tarot card reading and how it showed another woman around him. So later they go for a private meal. And then she brings up the tarot card reading from Maria, who foresaw them getting married, but also foresaw him leaving her for another woman. Ryan says that he doesn't believe in this psychic stuff because it's the work of the devil. He wonders how he's supposed to defend himself against a psychic reading. And and he thinks that whoever it was, the psychic, is probably just using what you told her about me to reverse engineer like your biggest fears, and she's just using that. In an interview, Ryan is a bit freaked out because she believes in and follows this, and he's hoping he can, snap her out of it. She says the psychic will also is going to give him... The psychic also said that he's also going to feel pressured to have kids, which is, going to contribute to the pressure for him to leave for a younger woman. Ryan is insistent that he doesn't want children, and Stephanie seems to be pretty confident that he will later, since he slipped up and said, right now. At this point, it just feels like she's trying to find things to argue about. Oh, and Maria should stay out of their business. Ryan says Maria should stay out of their business and get in between them like Harris did. And to stop trying to get between them. He reassures Stephanie that he's in it for real, and she hopes she'll get laid tonight, which looks like it might be in the cards, but 4 hours later, there's a lot of screaming and yelling, including Stephanie saying, "How could you do that to me?" And Ryan just leaving and getting in a cab to go home. Stephanie is cussing at him as the episode ends. So I feel like that's where we have to bring in the rumor alert news about Stephanie is that on social media, she has claimed that during filming, Ryan sexually assaulted her, that the producers knew about it, and then pressured her to keep filming the rest of the season. Yeah.
Yes, I definitely have heard that. And it was a spoiler, so that's part of the reason why I didn't include it on the Rumor Roundup. And then also, I've been very confused as to what the real story is.
Yes.
So it's like you get little bits and pieces, but it's almost like she also walks it back. So it's really hard to say what's going on.
It really is hard to say and production is not smartly, probably with their lawyers, are like, don't engage with this. Like there's no good to engaging with engaging with her accusations. So so it's not like the show is officially saying anything, but she's being very cagey about what it is, and that's not to say that means nothing happened, because it certainly doesn't.
Right. And I mean if we're just to kind of read the signs or read what's happened, obviously something happened.
Yes.
She's yelling at him. He's leaving, so could this have been, the night that something happened? Sure. Totally.
And I guess we'll, find out a little bit more, at least what production spin on it looks like, next week. And in terms of that, but it really kind of put a damper on the whole end of this episode, certainly. Like kind of knowing that in the background as a spoiler.
Well, I was going to say that I don't want to be judgy, but this doesn't really surprise me if it were true, because of how he has been, like his demeanor the entire time that he, since he's entered the scene this season. You could just, even the way, I think it was the most obvious, the way he was when she was telling him about Harrison. And he just had this like very like, yeah, I know. Like, and I don't know, there was just something that was like emotionless there. That to me, if you were to say, oh yeah, he like physically forced her, to do something, that she didn't want to do. And it doesn't matter that they're a couple. You can't do that, I could see him being like, she's my woman. I can do what I want. Like he had that kind of like demeanor about him.
And I guess because the part that I'm really, I feel like they, and there's maybe bad things about like the production crew and things like that. Are they setting things up like as a defense almost for themselves? Because they kind of threw it away earlier when they were talking about, Stephanie getting blocked by Ryan's mom. As, set her up as, oh, when she gets pissed, she just does crazy shit and says crazy shit to people. She texts them crazy stuff that she doesn't really mean, right? And so kind of making it look like she would go on social media and just say this because she was mad, and crazy person says crazy things all the time, and so I hope that wasn't, God, I hope that wasn't what they were kind of setting up here.
I was going to say that I wasn't taking that to mean that. I just took it to mean that Stephanie was someone who was going to not necessarily communicate when something was wrong and like expect too much. Like what Ryan said, he had a point when he said, like she's trying to win them over with money or like try to hold, money over them. And if his family says thank you, like that should be enough. And she was like, no, but you didn't say thank you the way that I wanted you to say thank you. I had to solicit a thank you from you before you actually said it. You should have come to me and been super appreciative.
Right. And it's like, and I mean, the proper response for that was, oh, I really don't feel like that was appreciated. I'll just skip it next time. Like, if that's the way you are, like that's what a normal person does. Not,
yes,
I don't feel like that was appreciated. Give it back.
Right. Yeah, definitely. That's not the right reaction to that. Absolutely not. Okay. On a more happy note, or I guess less serious note, I have a question about world records. Okay. So you hear about, these people that are doing things for like excessive amounts of time, right? Yes. Like I think her hula hooping record is like, she's trying to go for is like some absurd, like 180 hours. 100
over
hours.
100 hours. Over 100 hours.
Over 100 hours. Okay. How do you go to the bathroom or sleep during this time? Do they let you have like allowed interval breaks?
There's certain amounts of like specified breaks times in the middle of this 100 hours.
Okay.
Like you're still not allowed to sleep, I don't think.
That's like, how do you not sleep for that long?
But there's like, there's definitely like, I'm pretty sure there's bathroom breaks and stuff. The thing is like, okay, so at some point, Guinness, my understanding is that Guinness World Records, stopped trying to make money by selling their book and started trying to make money by certifying world records.
Okay,
right?
Interesting.
And so it used to be the Guinness World Records had things like tallest building, fastest 100 meters, heaviest elephant, right? Things that because the whole point of it, it's Guinness, right? It's the Guinness Brewing Company. It was like to settle bar fights.
Right, sure.
Like, right? And so they came up with this book, and then they, would sell the copies to bars and everything like that, and it ended up in everybody's school library. I used to read it as a kid. But like at some point, I think in the mid-90s or so, they realized they could make a lot more money by like staging these events and having people basically pay to get their records certified by Guinness Book of World Records. Mm-hmm. And so that's why you hear all these crazy off-the-wall records. Most eggs broken by your forehead in 2 minutes. Like, biggest bologna sandwich eaten by a class of 6-year-olds. Like, okay,
right.
Like, and so like I feel like this just feels like one of those ones. They're like, all right, fine, make up whatever rules you want, just give us some money and we'll come by and certify you.
Yeah, because what confused me too is they were trying to do, like you were saying, trying to certify a record for watching the entire series of The Simpsons nonstop. And they were trying to fill a movie theater. Obviously, this was very years ago, pre-pandemic. But to me, I was like, how do you not go to sleep? Like, you can't watch all of those hours of television without sleeping.
Yeah,
or
so I mean,
going to the
I don't know
bathroom.
what the most amount of time staying up is, but then remember she had like that blue light thing she was using at the beginning. Like, so the biggest part of this record is staying awake. It's not even doing the hula hooping; it's staying awake the whole time.
That's the part, that would kill me. I couldn't stay awake for more than, I think my max probably for staying awake would be, if I was really forced to in a torture situation, maybe 40 hours. I could do 40 hours. That would be really stretching it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't say that I would know. I know it's longer than 24, but I don't know how much.
I maybe have done like around 30 to 36, somewhere in there, just doing Ragnar. But so that's why I think I could do 40. But
I bet I could do longer because I just require less sleep.
Oh, I know you do. I require lots of sleep.
Yeah.
I will fall asleep in the middle of anything. So
yeah, I can't fall asleep in the middle of
that.
things. That's also true. But okay, the other lighter note thing I wanted to talk about, Stephanie, is did you see or pay attention to her outfit when she came for dinner?
No. Which outfit was that?
Okay, so she had a tank top that had a picture of lips on it.
Oh, yes, I saw.
And a purse that looked like lips. Okay. And a face mask that had lips on it. It's like, this is a weirdly coordinated outfit. Like, I don't understand. Like, this is my lip outfit. I like lips.
Maybe that's what she promotes because she does like beauty, right? So lip fillers are in right now. So maybe
that's what it is. Look at these beautiful, big, luscious, full lips that are on my tank top here. That's what you want to get.
Yeah. Speaking of lips, let's talk Rebecca and Zied. So Zied is video chatting with his sister and his nieces. He tells her that he's stressed and she asks about what. He's kind of vague, but tells us that it's because Rebecca's family doesn't accept him. He thinks it'll get easy after time. Rebecca calls him to the bathroom where Rebecca has a surprise for him. She has bought him giant temporary tattoos to kind of put together and make a sleeve. Zied kind of looks at them a bit confused, but then he finally laughs. He puts the tattoos on, and Zied just says that they are funny. He says he likes it, but he does want to cover it for the family dinner later that night. He says he's worried about that and doesn't need more things to ask questions about. Rebecca and Zied join Tiffany and Micah and their friends to dinner. Micah and Tiffany are trying to get to the bottom of Zied again. Zied is educating the table on the PDA laws in Tunisia and tells them that if a man is kissing a woman, that he could get 6 months in prison. Tiffany and Micah's beautiful blonde friend Hannah finds Zied interesting and starts to ask him questions like, "Did they hunt for food in Tunisia?" Zied says some do, but the boys at the table point out that, yeah, they hunt in America too. And then they bring up turkey season. Rebecca thinks that Hannah is overly focused on Zied and she feels uncomfortable. Rebecca says that they still need to move into their place and that Zied can work on that while she's at work. Hannah pipes in, offering a truck since her family has a whole bunch of them, and Zied seems to agree. Rebecca goes into jealous mode and asks Zied if he really going to let her help him move. Zied seems a bit clueless and Rebecca spells it out for him, and then he goes, oh no. No, thank you. Tiffany looks confused and says that she was only offering to help, and Rebecca says that in his culture, it's inappropriate for a single woman to come over to your house. Tiffany thinks that, her mom's just being insecure and thinks that Hannah is just trying to be helpful. And if Rebecca is going to get jealous over things like that, well, things aren't going to end well. Hannah tries to reassure everyone, saying it just sounded like they could use another set of wheels and she wasn't trying to step on anyone's toes. Rebecca thanks her and then everybody starts to leave. Rebecca then tells Zied, once everyone's gone, that women here are not like the women in Tunisia. All right. So at one point, Rebecca also mentions that, Zied is, hanging out with people his age, with, her daughter, Tiffany, Micah,
sure,
and their friends.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So, and maybe at some point, her daughter's friends will be his friends. But do you think Zied will be allowed to have female friends his age?
So I don't get it. Because it's weird that when they were in Tunisia,
yeah,
right, it was a big fight over whether she should be more Tunisian, she should adopt a culture, she should cover up her tattoos, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And now he comes to America, which is more open, and, in America, it's fine to be friends with a single female and not, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with nobody would bat an eye, right?
Yeah.
But she's like, but you have to live by the rules of Tunisia. Those are your rules. Like, I don't understand. Like, are we going by the country or are we going by the person? Because it seems like she just wants the way where he doesn't get to talk to other women.
Right. I was going to say, whatever works best for her, I think she's going to try to reinforce, right?
Yeah.
So the tattoos in Tunisia, it works best for her American rules. When they're America, single women that are attractive, Tunisian rules.
Yeah. Like, so I don't get it. I mean, how is he going to be able to assimilate into America if you hold him to those rules, right?
Yeah.
If you're like, well, yeah, we can't have a couple over because they're not married. So that won't work. Like, we can't have couple friends if they're not married. Like, then single women are coming into the house. We can't have somebody lend you a truck. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, let us get the truck. It just seemed very weird to me because it was pretty obvious to me that it was a jealousy thing and not a Tunisian rules thing, right? She's using this to cover it up.
Yeah. And come on, really, is moving things really that sexy? I don't think so.
I feel like it's one of those things that, like, people would think would be sexy until you have to do it.
And then you're like, no, this sucks.
Like, no, this is not like the guy. Yeah, like, it's definitely, I could imagine, like, a sexy calendar of guys moving boxes into a place, right? But then you watch, like, Zied do it, you bend over and your butt crack is hanging out, and you can't get the things together, and you're all, like, sweaty and hot and, like, not in a good way. I mean, sweaty and hot in general is one of those things that, like, in movies is like, oh, hey. And then in real life is like, no, bad. Go take a shower first.
Right. I was going to say, I had a lot of movers within a shortest span of time. And I was going to say, out of all the different movers I had, I don't think I had a fantasy about any of them.
No. Okay. So that's the thing is, like, okay. So the thing is on those calendars, your movers, they're strong. Because movers generally are strong, right? Like,
yes,
I will give them that.
That's true.
But, like, most people who are strong, it's like a difference between, like, the Mr. Universe pageant, the Mr. Universe weight, bodybuilding versus, like, the World's Strongest Man. The World's Strongest Man guys are all just like an egg. They're all like egg shaped. They're just really big, barrel, stocky, big around. It's like they're not like traditionally sexy in terms of like, oh, look at those arms. It's like they're all just like big dudes that are super strong. But like that's the kind of guy I picture when I picture a mover guy, like barrel chested, big around, tree trunk legs, like move.
Yeah,
like,
not my type.
Yeah,
but whatever. You do you, Rebecca.
But I'll tell you what though, if that girl was into Zied, then
maybe that's her type.
Then that might be her type.
It's a possibility.
So why do they blur? That was the part that bothered me. Why do they blur things and not like still make it obvious what it is? Like he had this Under Armour hat on that was blurred, that was like barely blurred at all. You could tell it was Under Armour so much. I was like, what's the point of even blurring that?
I have no
like if I was
idea.
Under Armour, I was going to sue them. I would still sue them. I'd be like, that's clearly our hat.
Yeah, I have no idea.
All right, moving along. Let's go to Tariq and Hazel.
Okay.
So Hazel, having never driven a car, it's really hard for Tariq now to teach her how to use this riding mower that she's on in a lawn that is way too small to justify having a riding mower. Yeah. All right, but it's so Tariq is having a tough time, but she starts off and he follows her along and they have fun for all. He's currently bummed because this is their first weeks. It's the first weeks of COVID lockdown, and it was supposed to be Hazel's amazing 90-day introduction to the U.S. and not her claustrophobic introduction to Tariq's house. Next, we see them all in like his tiny workout room, all squished in there together. She's on the elliptical machine, he's at his weight bench, and they're commiserating on how much it sucks to be locked in the house with the two of them and Ari. But Hazel's concern is for her son Harry, who is locked down in the Philippines with his dad and his stepmom. She's concerned specifically because the last time she talked to them, the stepmom had said that Harry had a fever, and so she's worried that it might be COVID. Hazel says that she's feeling brokenhearted, that there's nothing she can do. Tariq feels guilty that he's the reason Hazel can't be with her son, and Hazel kind of just seems to want to change the subject because it's making her cry. The next morning, Tariq brings it up again because he feels like it was a little bit of a quarantine brain thing that she's overreacting to. But he doesn't say that to her and asks if she's doing any better. She doesn't have any more updates yet, so she calls them whilst they're on camera. The stepmother, whose name is Ruby, says that the fever is gone and he's feeling just fine. Then Harry gets put on the phone and says he's good too. They all have a fun time talking together. He asks Tariq how he's doing in English, and then Tariq's suggestion that they drink orange juice won't work because they can't afford it. So instead, Tariq shows him how to do jumping jacks. And even Ari gets into the action and comes to say hi to Harry. She tells him about the plan to give him a visa. She being Hazel tells Harry about the plan to get him a visa eventually, but obviously the coronavirus has thrown a wrench into all their plans. All right, so how much longer do you think they're going to be able to, quarantine before production prods them into doing something?
I know, right? I don't know. It seemed like from our preview for next week, they might start video chatting with some potential girlfriends.
Some potential throuple people?
Yes. So that should be some kind of progress. But what I'm more interested in is what is the status of this whole wedding? So, they haven't talked about, they're about halfway through. They haven't talked about if their wedding is approved to be postponed, were they given extension time on the visa? They haven't talked about that. They haven't had any kind of wedding planning because it seems to me, since Tariq has such a big property, that they could still plan to have a small wedding ceremony in the backyard, because it's not like Hazel has a whole bunch of family anyway.
Sure,
so
right.
Just like Yara and Jovi, it just seems fair that, maybe it's just them and Ari, so.
Right. Yeah. They need to, they just need the courts to get back open, really. Right.
Right.
And enough time for them to get the whatever time, because there's usually, I think there's usually a cool down period between when you get your license and when you do the marriage. Mm-hmm. There's usually it depends on the jurisdiction. I think it was 2 weeks. I think for when I got married, you had to get the license 2 weeks before the wedding because it wouldn't do it. It's almost the 5-day waiting period for a gun. They're we got to make sure you're not doing this
under duress.
Under duress. Exactly what it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's that, but yeah, at the end of the day, I'm curious as if the courts open up, if they make them delay the visa because they're you can get married, you just can't have a ceremony. we can get you married because I mean, this is so far they're in mid-April, so
yes,
and they're about halfway through, so that you get it probably ends at the end of June.
Yeah.
And I think Virginia was a little bit closer. They're not far from Maryland. I think they might have been a little bit looser about the opening up, but they were definitely not one of the first states that was big on, reopen. I feel like Georgia was. Mm-hmm. I feel like Florida was. Mm-hmm. But I even think those were more midsummer pushes and not early summer pushes.
Right. But I'm just saying the stuff we typically see in a season, we haven't really seen with them. So, I mean, there's still other things. We don't need it all boring, what's going on inside your house.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they can't do, at least wedding dress shopping,
online or something. Yeah, I get it.
Putting together some kind of wedding. I'm sure the production company, Sharp Productions could manage to have a bunch of wedding dresses delivered to the house. So they could try them on there, or
and then send them all back.
They can try the cakes, right? It's things like that. I don't know. So there's definitely things. Now we're missing out on all those meetings with the voice of reason friends. I think she's just here for the visa. We're missing out on most of it. Which honestly, we're missing out on those for a lot of couples. I mean, there's a notable exception this week, but we haven't really heard a lot of. I think they're just scamming you. I think they're here for the visa, which I feel like is traditionally,
we did actually hear quite a bit from the Yara and Jovi situation.
That's right.
Yeah, so Yara and Jovi are on their way to Jovi's hometown for an engagement party. Yara is just tired. She just wants to stay home, but she knows it's important to Jovi. Yara gets to meet Jovi's dad, Monty, who has a job schedule much like Jovi's, which is why they haven't had a chance to meet yet. Jovi's mom, Gwen, is excited about a party, and Yara tells her she's happy to keep it small since it isn't possible for her family to be involved. Gwen says to just us that she wasn't completely honest, and they're actually expecting a big party of 60 people at this thing. They all sit down to talk, and Monty asks how Yara likes New Orleans, and she just kind of goes, meh. He then tells her that she should keep an eye out because there are definitely some sketchy parts of the city that she shouldn't go walking in. He then tells her that how she dresses is going to give people the wrong impression. Yara thinks that she has good taste, and she resents Monty thinking that she dresses inappropriately based on her pictures. Jovi then says that coming to America was Yara's dream, well, before she actually got there. And Yara says no, and wonders why he thought that. And he says because everyone from the Ukraine wants to come to America. Gwen then says a lot of Ukrainian women try to meet American men so they can come over, and Yara takes offense to that stereotype. She then throws it back that everyone thinks that Americans are stupid. Monty then asks if they plan on staying in America after they get married, and Yara says that she would like to move closer to her mom. Gwen says that she doesn't want Jovi living in Europe. Jovi interrupts and says that it's too early for Yara to have a real opinion of America, and he just refuses to move anywhere cold. Gwen is uncomfortable and then, says that she needs to start preparing for the party. Jovi and Monty also excuse themselves because they have to go to a crawfish boil. As the three of them are in the car, they wonder if they can trust Yara in the house by herself. The three of them discuss Yara not liking America, and Jovi defends Yara, saying that Yara's just homesick. Jovi said that he's willing to take the risk to marry the person he loves. He wishes that they would be more understanding in the whole situation. Jovi and Monty get to their friend's house. All the guys joke about how long the marriage is going to last, and they all agree that 3 years max. They then bring up what they refer to as the Jovi ways, which includes partying every night and going to the strip clubs, being wild and eccentric. The friends are skeptical that any woman could tame all of that. Monty expresses concerns about Yara wanting to move away, but Jovi says he will never move and that Yara will just have to adapt. Jovi wants her to be happy, but he wants to make it work since they have a child on the way. Yara and Jovi are getting ready to go to the engagement party where Jovi is sprinkling talcum powder in his hair and Yara is curling her hair. She's upset that Jovi left her all day at his parents' house. She didn't feel comfortable. She then tries to fix Jovi's hair with a straightening iron. Yara is giving him a bad time because she was hungry and he just brought her crawfish. Yara says that her smell is extra sensitive and she can't handle seafood while pregnant. Yara wants to tell his family that she's pregnant so they won't question why she's not eating or drinking. They continue to bicker as Jovi tries to hurry her up. Jovi thinks she's picking a fight because she's sad she's so far away from her family. He tries to psych her up, but Yara is still mad about the lack of consideration when it comes to getting her food. He lies and says that he asked her what she wanted, but Yara insists that he only asked her if she wanted food, not what. Yara then points out that Jovi always has a drink in his hand, and Jovi rolls his eyes. Jovi insists that he's not drunk and hasn't been drinking. Yara says that he thinks she's stupid, and Jovi basically says, yep. Yara says that if she wasn't pregnant, she would be in Ukraine, and Jovi says that she's not so lucky. All right, so do you think that the baby is the only reason why Yara is still here?
I don't know. I think it's a convenient excuse, but
yes, agreed.
I also don't. Yeah, she wouldn't, because she didn't leave before she was pregnant either.
Right. And that's what I was saying too, because it's like things haven't changed. I mean, the one thing about Jovi is he's consistently Jovi.
Yes, that is true. He is not a different person ever.
No. And so it's like if she were to leave, what was stopping her back then before she found out she was pregnant?
Right. I mean, it's it's what drives me the most nuts about Jovi. And this is that thing that's never going to change. Mm-hmm. He accurately assesses the situation. She feels bad that we're going to this party and her family's not around. And she's feeling bad about it and is trying to pick a fight. So I'm going to give it to her. Like, what's going on. Yeah. Like, why do you don't have to roll into it. You can try to calm the situation down. Like, do it. But now he goes keep up. If she's going to bicker with me, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bicker. Like, fine. You want to fight? You got to fight.
This man should be with absolutely no one.
Yeah.
He is the most selfish person, and there ain't no one who's going to change that.
No.
He wants to do what he wants to do. I mean, even like the way he talked about where they were going to live, like when Yara wasn't there, he's like, well, I'm not going to live there. She'll can just either take, she'll just have to adapt. Like, I'm not doing anything about it. And I feel like he is always going to be like that. It'd be interesting to see, if a child changes him, but that isn't something I would be willing to ever risk.
No, I think he was going to do the same thing with a child. Oh, you want something? That's not what I want. You don't get it. We're doing that thing. I'm the dad. Like, I get to make the decisions. Like, that's just the way he's going to be. He's going to be the same way with the kids. And, like, I mean, I don't think Yara was great today because she was overly, like, she has serious concerns and things. And instead of actually expressing them, she expresses them through snark and, like, bitterness and bickering.
See, I appreciate that. I mean, that's like right in line with how I would deal with things. So to me, I was like, what do you mean Yara was a brat today?
I didn't say she was a brat. I'm saying she, instead of actually dealing, you're paying attention to your family and you're ignoring me. And I don't think you're going to be around or you're going to pay attention to this baby when it's around either. She's like, your hair looks stupid. You're always drinking. Like, it's always and always also, he can't tell when she's joking and not.
Yeah, but I actually don't even think it would really matter either.
I don't think it would matter, but it would at least make her like more right, because in his head, she's just she's always got something to say. She's always got to be a smartass. Like, she doesn't really even have any problems. She's just going to be a smartass just to piss me off and meh. So I'm going to do what I want anyway.
Yeah. Well, okay. Maybe she isn't as emotionally mature enough to, accurately kind of communicate what the issues are. But once again, I don't know if it'd really make a difference. Jovi is Jovi. He doesn't care if she spelled it out for him exactly what she wanted, which, there are moments where she does.
Sure.
He don't give a crap. You're going to do what he's going to do.
All right. So you know who I really didn't like, even worse than Jovi, though? Was Monty.
Yeah, he wasn't my favorite either. So the apple does not fall far from the tree.
It does not at all. As soon as he opened with, be careful where you go in New Orleans because of the clothes you wear.
Yes, that was ridiculous.
Yikes.
Yep.
Oh my God. And they showed like the skimpy clothes like that she wears on her social media. And it was like at the beach where she was wearing a bikini.
Which is very different.
And like at a Halloween party where she was wearing like a sexy maid costume. It was like, these are normal places where you dress like this.
She was so funny. I love her. She's just like, I have taste. And then she like looks and sees she's showing a little too much cleavage and she adjusts her shirt.
No. She is really funny. And part of it is like, if Jovi wasn't such a douche all the time, he could like calm the situation when she gets a little snarky like that. Like he knows that when she's getting a little snarky, it's because she's feeling some kind of way, and he refuses to address that. He's just like, whatever, we're going to my parents' house. Fine.
I mean, I just don't get it. Like, how is she with him? She could have anyone else.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's what he said. Because she didn't leave before she's pregnant. There's clearly something about him.
Oh, I don't get it at all.
Can I also talk about how 60 goddamn people is a fuck ton of people at a random ass party?
Is it?
I looked up, so at least to me, I went and I actually, when she said that, looked at it and I was like, for like a wedding thing, right?
Yeah.
If I had me, all my aunts and uncles, all my cousins, all their kids, like from both my mom and my dad's side, that's 45 people.
Okay.
So you're adding that plus half and telling me that's your small engagement party? Like, no, I think that's, I think if you tell me, and they said they did say that they lied to her, that it wasn't, they didn't consider it a small party. But like, if you tell me a small party, I'm thinking less than 20 people.
All right. Sure.
And so I think it's, and they're just going to surprise her with it, which is like that made me feel like really bad for her.
That whole family, I know you said no to Monty, but I'm not into the mom Gwen.
No, mom Gwen is not great either, because it's the same thing, because that woman has made one thing clear to Gwen. I do not want to have a big family event because my family can't be there.
Right. And Gwen's like, but I want it, so it's going to happen. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand just completely rolling over somebody's wishes like that. That's insane to me. Like, if you want to have something, almost like, okay, can I have something where Jovi can come over by himself and we can get the family together? You don't have to be there. Like, it doesn't have to be an engagement party. We just want to get the family together and Jovi can come. I think she'd be like, all right, fine, whatever. I don't care.
Right.
Don't do that. Just don't make me come to your family event and stand there, so everybody can tell me about Ukrainians are coming over to steal Americans and get their
Yes,
visas.
they're disgusting stereotypes. It's so annoying to me. The fact that Jovi just assumed that it's everybody's dream to come to America. It's like, come on.
Yep. And that's something
ridiculous.
that I feel like, especially in recent years, as certain things have happened in America. Like,
trust is not everybody's dream.
it is not everybody's dream. Like,
No.
people look at what the Americans that are on the news and are like,
Yep.
I don't want to go anywhere near that place. Right. And so, just that assumption that was because he was like, what? It's not your dream? I thought it was everyone's dream. It's like,
yes.
And I feel like if you're engaged with somebody, like, talking about their dreams is kind of like one of the things you have to talk about before you're engaged.
Jovi's whole family, to me, just gives Americans such a bad
they're all like ugly Americans.
Gross.
Because they're weird too, because that's the other thing with them is they're not only like everyone would love to live in America, they're like, well, everybody would love to live in Louisiana. And I was like, there's a very small slice of Americans that want to live in Louisiana.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, I've never occurred to me, I'm sure there are nice parts of Louisiana, but it's never occurred to me to be like, oh, let me go vacation in Louisiana, except for something like
New Orleans.
Yeah, and I feel like, to me, now that I'm a little bit older, I feel like that ship has sailed.
Oh, yeah. No, I feel
it's kind of like
that would have been awesome when I was like 23.
Yeah, but now it's kind of like, it'd be nice to see, but I don't think it'd be more my thing now. So
yeah, I don't need to see
I'm good.
I don't need to see any more like random boobs. I'm good. We're fine. That's all right.
All right,
boobs that are
moving
like
on.
people that are too young for me to look at. Like, no, too young.
Oh, God.
Don't.
You're overthinking it. Moving on.
Moving along to Mike and Natalie. So they get in the truck and they're driving off, I don't know, somewhere. But Mike weirdly asked Natalie about what new word she learned today, which is controversial, a word she uses to describe their relationship. She feels that Mike is not really interested in their future together. Well, I guess we find out where they're going was just to dinner. Mike is jokingly worried about Natalie being a little pyrotechno with the candles. Natalie starts to ask about plans for the wedding, including getting a dress and things like that. Mike isn't worried because he doesn't have a suit, so whatever, right? And she asks what they think they need for the wedding, and he says, well, we really need another 45 to 90 days to work this out.
God.
At this point, Natalie brings up the idea that maybe they should go to couples therapy, which she calls psychology from family advisor. But this seems to be a non-starter for Mike. He doesn't want to get another person involved with their relationship. He agrees that they need to work on their relationship, but really doesn't like the idea of talking to someone else about that. He also doesn't want to spend a bunch of money just to have a conversation. Mike really doesn't seem to believe in therapy at all. He says things like, what are they going to do to help? And how are you going to explain it to them if you can't explain it to me? In the end, he says thinks they're going to need more than a psychologist to save their relationship. Later, back at the house making dinner, they spend some more time not having productive conversations. Mike just suggests that they get drunk and let loose, but Natalie has too many serious concerns to have fun. As Mike gets up to get the last beer in the house, Natalie again asks about going to a counselor, which apparently is annoying the hell out of Mike, who gives her no answer besides no. So later we get to Jane, Mike's barber and confidant. He fills her in about some of the things that have been going on. It's been 6 weeks and they basically don't agree on anything. Then he tells Jane about the whole ring situation and how he's not 100% ready to get married. Jane thought that, their being together would make the relationship more solid, but Mike seems as indecisive as he ever was. He talks about what some of their issues are. They're pretty much all communication. And he mentions that she wants to go to counseling. And Jane thinks that's actually a good idea that could definitely help with communication. So we see them the next day ready to go to their couples counseling appointment. Natalie is relieved that Mike said he would go and hopes it will make things better. When they get there, Doug, the counselor, starts off by asking what they want. And Mike's response is, she's at the appointment. Initially, he comes to the conclusion that they need to work on communicating better. Doug has Natalie explain what her issues with Mike are, And it's basically that he doesn't listen to what she's saying and constantly ignores her and her concerns. Mike responds that he's put in huge effort, but he's unhappy as well. Then Doug asks them to each tell each other why they are together. Natalie, in response to this, thanks Mike for his effort, but he says that isn't an answer for the question. So he asks her again, why did you come here? She says they fell in love with each other, but hesitates when he asks if they're still in love. And she says, it's difficult. So there you go. Mike doesn't want to talk marriage or wedding because even she knows they're not in love with each other anymore.
God.
In an interview, Natalie took this, we don't love each other. He technically said we don't love each other, but she definitely heard, I don't love you. And it really knocked her off guard. But now that Mike feels like he's reached the root of the problem. If they no longer love each other, then they need to move on. Doug tells them that they need to be open with each other with what they want out of this relationship. Then outside to the producers, they ask Mike what would happen in his ideal world, and he said he'd fall in love, get married, and have kids. But they ask him, well, do you see that happening with Natalie? And he says, I don't know. I'm done. And then walks off.
I hate this guy.
And that's where we leave. So, all right. We continue to have Mike nosedive in our favorability rankings here.
I hate him so much.
So much. So, what was I don't know. The worst thing, was it avoiding the counseling altogether? Or was it the way he behaved in the counseling? Was it the conclusions he drove? What was it that made you the most angry at Mike?
I think, to me, it was the refusing to go to counseling.
Okay.
Because he agrees that they need to work on something. He keeps on saying that. Well, we need to work on that. We got to figure out a lot. It's like, how are you going to figure that shit out if you can't even talk to one another? And so his reasoning for not going to a counselor is because he's just like, well, we're not ready to go see a counselor. This isn't an easy fix. We have to communicate. Yes, that's the reason why she's trying to get you to go to a counselor, so you fucking communicate. Right? And it's so frustrating to me that it's like, I don't think he's interested at all in making things better. A counselor would, if anything, force the issue, right? Force out in the open what are the problems. And I think that is, to me, what was the most frustrating about Mike this entire season. I think it's pretty clear to him this isn't what he wants. He's hanging in there, making everybody miserable in the process by being stubborn, and just not going along with it, just being this dark, brooding, ogre that's just there. Yeah. And, it's just he's not interested in making anything better. And so by conclusion, he's just making everything worse. Yeah, I don't know. I'm with you because he kept saying, as I was saying the same thing. My worst thing was his refusing to go to therapy. Yeah, because it was we are not communicating well enough. And it was okay, here's something we can do that's designed to help us communicate. And he's I don't understand how that can work. We're not communicating good enough. And it's yeah. The whole point of the therapy is to communicate better. And you're right, because he keeps saying forever, the entire season, he's been saying, well, we just have stuff to work on. Yeah. But then he refuses to work on it. He refuses to talk to her. Yeah, every time she tries to talk about what she wants, he goes, I'm done. That's it. And walks out. We've seen him do it numerous times. Right. When are we going to set this date for the wedding? Are you serious about doing this wedding last week? And whoop, I'm walking out of the store now. This is it. I can't. This is ridiculous. Yeah. He doesn't talk about anything. And then when they finally get him to talk, he has this stupid Bluetooth thing in his ear the whole time. God, I know, right? And he just is immediately, as soon as she kind of hesitates, he couldn't wait to jump on a situation where he could say, we don't love each other anymore. That's it. Yeah. It's done. It was very bizarre to me because it definitely looks like this entire season, he's been looking for a way out. Yes. Right? He's been looking for a way to kind of blame her for something, to put it on her. And I don't know if it's because he thinks that, if she's the one deciding it, that, that'll somehow make it better. Because I kind of feel there's people who do this in life, right? It's they don't want to be with someone. So instead of being the bigger person and actually breaking up with them, instead what they do is act like such a terrible partner that they just hope that the other person will leave them. And I feel like that's what he's been doing this entire season. He's been a terrible partner, just waiting for Natalie to break up with him, but she's not. She's trying to work it out, and it's just kind of like, you can tell he has zero interest in working out. But what I don't understand is, what is he getting out of this? Clearly, he doesn't want to be with her.
No, because
he doesn't have to leave the country if they break up. I don't understand what he's getting out of this by holding on.
I feel like he has this weird self-pride thing where he thinks of himself as a good guy. And if he left her in Ukraine and left, and then, you know, she got the visa and he said, this wasn't working, please don't come, we're done, this relationship's over. He's the asshole that broke up with her. Here's the thing, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, if there's not any kind of, you know, gross wrong or infidelity or something going on, then whoever did the breaking up is the asshole, which isn't true at all, right?
Right.
But it definitely seems to be where he's coming from. I'm a good guy. I tried to make it work. This is me, you know, doing what was right. Where it's, I mean, totally not. Like I said, like, because I don't know, when she said I hesitated and you know, the counselor asked her, are you in love with him still? Mm-hmm. And she said it's difficult. I wasn't sure if she meant it's difficult to say, or I really am trying to love him, but it's difficult to love him right now because he's making it very hard, right?
And he forced her to say something that she wasn't like, well, that's not exactly what I was saying, but I could understand, you know, your love is different. Mm-hmm. Before, it was definitely more playful, and like, it was easy to love you if you're not having all these arguments. Right.
I mean, it's just, yeah, and especially the end when he was like, when they were like, he had this whole vision, we're going to get married, I'd have kids. Is that with Natalie?
I know. He knew.
That's like, no. His answer is no. He's been no this whole season. When she said at the beginning, I got my visa, and his face just was like, ugh, like he looked like he was going to throw up.
Yeah.
Like, he was already done.
He did not look happy at all. You know, the other thing, you know, is it's definitely been implied, you know, that, you know, Mike has cheated on Natalie in the past. Like, they try to put like seeds of doubt, you know, that there's someone else in the picture. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if there was someone else in the picture, because this is like classic behavior of someone who has someone else in the wings. Like, maybe he's not cheating on her, but has someone else that he would rather be with. And instead of breaking up with her, like I said before, is like just being a miserable ass to her, trying to get her to leave so that way he has like a, you know, guilt-free conscience here and can go pursue the person he really does want to be with.
Right. I can see that too, because almost everybody would assume like that one is definitely somebody who comes across as the asshole when you dump somebody and then immediately like 2 days later like, this is the person I wanted to be with the whole time.
But if she breaks up with you, then it's kind of like, okay, well, I'm free to pursue who I want because she's the one who ended it.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Ugh. All right, one more.
Yes, Andrew and Amira. So Andrew is finally leaving Puerto Vallarta. He says it one more time that he wishes Amira was there. He is dramatic and says he's going home to an empty apartment and a world of confusion. Andrew's mom is waiting for him at the airport to give him a giant hug and a ride home. Andrew walks out of the gated area with a mask down. My judgment is up. Lori, his mom, asks about Amira, and she asks him if she's talked about the detention center. And Andrew says that, you know, she hasn't talked about it well in detail. And Andrew says that he believes in their love and they've been talking about going to Serbia. Lori is quite frankly surprised that Amira's up for putting herself in danger again. And Andrew says, oh, but it'll be easy for her. Lori looks very skeptical. Andrew admits that Amira's a bit traumatized from this experience, so he's being careful on how he presents it to her. Andrew thinks Serbia is a good option, and Lori thinks that if Amira wants to go, then yeah, sure, fine, but she doesn't think he should be wasting the money. He says, hell or high water, he just wants to be with her because he claims there is nothing inherently dangerous about this plan. He says it's their only option at this point, but he understands her hesitation. Andrew gets back to his apartment where it looks like he has a random pirate mermaid sign hanging from a door that was clearly from the same Etsy store as all those live, laugh, love signs. He says at this point he feels like a single man. He had a whole gift basket set up for Amira that included an iPhone and a $500 debit card. Andrew says he has invested all his money and emotions into this relationship, so he is going to do everything he can to figure out how to make this work. All right. Do you think Andrew is more concerned about the money he spent or Amira?
The money is interesting. Yes and no. I mean, I think he's more interested in Amira, but not Amira as a person, Amira as a concept of having Amira in his life. Like, I think he's very selfish. I mean, we established this. I don't think he cares about her as a person, but he wants her around.
Yes, he does want her around, but I think the reason why he's pushing this so hard, Serbia so hard, Puerto Vallarta so hard, is because he doesn't want to pay any more money to get a visa extension, to have to apply for a new visa. And so I think when it really comes down to it, like, all of these decisions that have been going into this season is like money.
I mean, I think it's funny because I believe him that it's time. But I believe that it's time in that, I don't know, I get very impatient, like in terms of, like, if I'm buying something, not like huge ticket, but bigger ticket. I'm buying a new appliance. I'm buying a TV, something like that, right? I shop for a long time. And I look around for a long time.
I'm more impulsive. Yes.
But once I decide what I want, I'm like, I want this tomorrow. Like, I've made my decision. Why isn't it here yet? I need it now. Why I don't have it now? I don't have it now. I need to get it now. Like, I get very impatient with that part. I take a long time to make my decision. And so I definitely see some of that with him. I've decided how I'm going to get her here. We got the visa. She's not here yet. Why isn't she here yet? She's supposed to be here. I want her here. That's what I wanted. And then I'm upset any second she's away. Again, not because he cares about her, but because, like, he knows what he wants and he wants to have it now.
Well, okay, let's put this scenario out there. If he got a free extension, so let's say they say, okay, she has another 90 days to get into this country, you know, or like maybe another year to get into this country. Do you think he would be pushing this hard for something to happen right now?
Yes, I do. I think he wants her here now. Because I don't know what it is about now. Like, I think he's using the visa's going to run out because we all know they're going to be able to get an extension.
Yeah,
it's freaking
right.
Pandemic. We know they're going to be able to get an extension. So he doesn't have to rush this, and he is rushing it. And I think if they told him, oh, no, we're going to extend all of them by a year, he would still be like, but who knows what's going to happen over that year? We got to make this happen as soon as we can.
I don't think I can handle another season of all his dumbass cliches.
Oh, my God. He has to have a notebook, right?
Yes,
of what he's going to say.
All the cliches that he wants to say, like quoting from them. Oh, my gosh, he's so annoying.
He rehearses them. The empty apartment at a land of confusion. Like, what is
Hell
that?
or high water. It's like, who talks like that?
Who talks like, you know, oh, do you think things are going to work out? I have confidence in our love. But the time that he has
this guy is a Renaissance fair actor.
He's I was gonna say he's a cosplayer. Like,
yes,
he's cosplaying a good boyfriend. That's what he's doing.
Yep, sounds about right. Yeah, that all makes sense, right? Because it's
how he had that set up. Oh, the teddy bear and an iPhone, and look at this amazing setup I have that I'm going to make sure everybody sees before I take it down and put the bear in the closet.
So annoying to me. It's so cheesy. It's like it seems so fake to me. Like, even his interactions with Amira, it's like, oh wait, I forgot. I'm supposed to be considerate to her trauma, and it's just like, only then is he like actually asking her questions where it's like checking in with her. Otherwise, he was like, hey, check out my vacation.
Yeah, I was going to think, I was like, oh yeah, right, I'm supposed to care. Well, when we had the thing, and then he turns on that, like, you know, D-level actor thing that comes out. It's like really, really bad.
That's what I'm saying. I can't handle another season of this.
No,
guy.
I don't. I mean, I think he's probably, looking at social media and stuff, he's like the most hated guy this season, right?
Maybe. I don't know. That's saying something, right?
That's saying something.
Yeah, that is true. I think TLC, to their credit, tries to at least get people that are controversial and start a conversation. I think mostly people just make fun of this guy, right?
Yeah. Like, I don't think anybody is. I haven't seen anybody online who is like, in defense of Andrew. Like, I haven't seen that.
Right. Everyone's just like, oh, this guy sucks.
Because I feel like the last season, Tanya got the most of it, right? Got the most hate.
Sure.
But there was definitely in defense of Tanya, actually, St. John's kind of being a jerk. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, goodness. All right. So was that all our couples?
That was everybody.
Okay. So what about your student of the week?
Slim pickings this week.
Yeah.
I went with Tariq.
Okay.
He was just fine. Like I said, their whole section was kind of, yes, I was also locked in my house for months at a time when COVID started. I do know what this is like. But he was good with the kid. He was good, consoling Hazel, even though it seemed that he thought she was overreacting to what was going on. Like, he has a fever? Oh, no. That's the worst. So I thought he did a good job, I guess, of what we saw of him.
Okay, so my student of the week was actually Zied. I thought he was doing good, trying to fit in. He, was trying to be respectful to Rebecca and, just trying to be, it's kind of cute to me that he was so anxious. Like, he really wants Tiffany and Micah to like him, as much as he gets frustrated and stressed that they attack him all the time. Like,
right. And I feel like he got what quote unquote trouble he got into was him, like, not, I don't think he really understood what was going on, but he was like, whatever, just go with it, man. Just go with it. Like, everybody's going to like him more if he gets go with it. Just go with the flow. And he was like, yeah, sure. Like, yeah. We've had that before where he doesn't know what he's saying, answering, but he just answers anyway.
Yeah. All right. What about your dunce?
Mike.
Same.
Yeah. I mean, he's just a giant dickhead the whole time. Like, the whole time. At no point, maybe when he was making jokes about her lighting the table on fire was the closest he came to not being a dickhead. And let's just unpack that. He made jokes that I think you're an arsonist. Yes. And that was the best thing he did.
And then he was basically telling her that her eyes were scary. So I don't know if that really counts.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying that was the, closest on the number line. That was great. Still negative, but that's the closest he approached to zero.
Ugh. All right. What about your life lesson?
All right. So actually this goes to the conversation that Stephanie had with Ryan when she brought up, when it looked like she was just trying to pick a fight for no reason when they were eating dinner. But like, if you have issues with something that your partner can't possibly take reasonable actions on, then it's okay to share that with them, but not to answer it. Like, I don't know. Well, my psychic said you were going to cheat on me. Like, my response would have been like, I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. Like, what, your psychic said I was going to cheat on you? Like,
yeah, I know, right?
I mean, it was one thing you'd be like, oh, well, I talked to my psychic and she said this thing and it's in the back of my head and it's really concerning me. And I just want you to know that that's where I'm coming from. I know, there's nothing you can do about it, but, it's something that's there in my head. Like, it's one thing to say it like that. It's another thing to say about, well, make me feel better about this because my psychic said something. And you're like, I don't know. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, right. Okay, good. So my life lesson actually is inspired by Yara and Jovi. If you're ever having doubts, actively use more than one form of birth control. So, I think the commercial that kept on coming on when I was watching either this one or Love After Lockup was that Phexxi, that non-hormonal birth control for women. It's basically like a gel. So it's like, why don't we throw on a little Phexxi, maybe have like a condom, maybe if you want to do an IUD or a NuvaRing at the same time, like, let's mix and match at least two.
I'm definitely on board with two because like any of them, whatever you choose, you can always throw a condom on too. Like, there you go, boom. And you've increased the effectiveness tremendously.
Yes. So yeah, let's mix and match. Let's have two in the mix at all times.
Right. Sounds good. All right. So we'll be back again next week. We don't have another week off because we had, the 2-week hiatus before this one.
Oh, yeah, that's true. All right. Well, we will see you all soon then.
Yep, that's right.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.